You
We
need to
don't have
adopt
we don't
somebody.
have anyone from Curaçao on the call with broken hearts, so
No, we just have Panashe from Zimbabwe. So
I think,
yeah, it's the wrong
yeah,
World Cup
we
week.
have Leandra, we have our founder on the call. We have a special guest on the call. Leandra, are you there?
Leandra is hiding
Where is
under the
she?
beautiful picture.
Okay. I don't know. Leandra, can you hear me? Okay. If okay. Let me see. I think we have some connection issues. Anyways, if she's not able to speak, we're just gonna kick off. And I think we should give people probably 2 or 3 minutes for them to join the call. Then we can all start up.
Right. Let me just also ping everyone on LinkedIn, which is, we had a lot of people who signed up on LinkedIn, but I don't know if they know that we are starting. So let me do that, a small comment, which unfortunately there is no better way in doing this. So yes, Capo Verde, I see.
Yeah.
So if we
so
can use
you can, please, everyone, let me know where you are from. Just comment in the chats. Let me know where you are. If you are from Nigeria, from Zimbabwe, let me know. I would like to know where you are from joining us today.
And if you're running a startup, please put it in the chat as well. We want to know who is in the room. Or if you're a founder, even better. We also want to know that. Hi, Victor.
Okay, we have Victor from Lagos. Okay, Victor is one of your, Panashe from Zimbabwe. Great. Let's keep it going. Wherever you are from in the world. We have some people from Germany.
Francesco, which organization are you from? Don't be shy, tell us. In which country are you located in?
Okay, Francesco is from Italy, Switzerland. Wow, nice to meet you.
Brilliant.
I think
Same here, Josh.
Francesco is saying he's from Italy, but he's going to be supporting Switzerland, I think, might be what he's telling us.
On the winning side of things.
I'm not responsive to this topic, sorry.
Sensitive discussion.
Well, you're not the only one. I see the Nigerian brothers on the call have gone very quiet. I think they're supporting South Africa.
Hi, Olivier. Hi, Timi Lehin. And Tosin, not to forget Tosin. I see I'm reading real time. I think we're slowly getting started. And yeah, you're from Germany. Well, you did very well in that one game that I watched, which was almost painful to watch. But yes, so I would say let's start with some introductions also from our side. Josh, why don't you kickstart with your introductions and then we will do ours and then we can go deep into it. And please, let's record this session. I think it could be great to share it afterwards if some people didn't make it.
Yeah. Lucy, so you know it's being recorded already.
Okay, great.
Okay. Kay, I said, I didn't say I'm from Germany. Okay. Where are you from? Okay. I guess Rwanda. Okay, great. Rwanda. Okay. You are from Kigali, Rwanda. Awesome. Thanks so much for joining. I really appreciate. I'm actually the managing partner of Bristol Global. We are a global, will I call ourselves, we're an impact-driven organization aimed at equipping the next generation of founders. So all across Africa, we want to see how we can be of impact to the founders and people building great businesses, especially within the healthcare community. And that's why we're partnering up with a great firm and organization like Synergia, founded by one of the most iconic founders himself, herself, Lucy. So Yeah, Lucy's, I mean, obviously I've seen so much work she's doing with the partnerships she's forming. I mean, hopefully sometimes she could invest in some of our founders. We hope so. So yeah, that's just it. I want to. Okay, great. So Lucy is from Switzerland, and I'm going to leave it for her. So to talk more about Synergia, I guess we can kick off from there.
Brilliant. So today we have a pretty special agenda because obviously a lot of people signed up for this session, but you know how things go. Not everybody is going to make it. So we're going to be recording this. And if you have founders in your network that you think should see this session and benefit just like you, we will hope that you would share this with them because it's truly a masterclass. We want to have an interactive event today. Before I go into presenting myself, I'd love Piers to actually present himself and tell us a little bit how him and me started Synergia. And then I'll tell you a little bit about myself. Piers, why don't you go for it?
Thanks, Lucy. So I'm the Chief Technology Officer at Synergia. We started the company 9 months ago. And this is an idea that had been kind of rattling and forming in Lucy's head for a long time. And we happened to be on a course together at Oxford. And as you know, Oxford is divided into colleges, and we are in the same college at Oxford. So we're walking back from lectures one day, and we start having this conversation. And she says, "Oh, I've got this idea of something that I really want to do." And she starts telling me, and it was the 1 week that was sunny in Oxford. And just to give you context. So we were walking, and the moment she told me the story, I just stopped dead in the street, and I said, "Well, why haven't you done this?" Because this is something that is so obvious that it needed to be done. But for some reason, it's just a gap in the market that nobody was doing this. So I was working for Microsoft at the time, and my original idea was I would find somebody who would work with Lucy as the CTO to develop the idea. And it kind of suddenly struck me that, well, why should I give such an amazing opportunity to somebody else? This could be me in the CTO role. Having never worked in a startup in my life, always worked with big corporations. It's been a bit of a leap of faith, but I'm happy to say in 9 months, from a technical and business point of view, I have done more in 9 months than I probably would have done working for Microsoft for 5 years. And that's not overselling that. That is just really, when you get involved in a startup, you wake up in the morning and you've got startup problems, and you go for lunch, you've got startup things rattling in your brain. You go to sleep at night, and you dream in the middle of the night of either a solution to a problem that you've been having all week, or a problem that you had not thought about at all. And it becomes very much something that you live. And yeah, which is a good thing and a bad thing. But at the end of the day, nothing beats working for yourself and kind of developing your own ideas with the people that you really want to spend time with. That's an intro from me.
Very, very lovely. And I think, Wilfred, thank you for flagging it. If one of Josh or Leandra or Piers can maybe take that Zoom link and post it somewhere loud and clear on the social media somewhere, that would be great, because I think a lot of people couldn't retrace it. LinkedIn is a bit of a maze. So Wilfred, thank you. And feel free to post it around to places, because I think people are struggling to find where that is hidden. So while we're doing that, let me tell you a bit who I am. So my name is Lucy Setyan. I'm sitting in the hot office of mine in Basel, Switzerland, but I would have much preferred to be somewhere in Kigali, to be honest, or another lovely place. I have worked quite a lot in the space of global health. I am by training an engineer turned business executive turned pharma executive. So I've spent most of my career between health system transformation work and big pharma work. So I'm a pharma executive by kind of the last few years of my career, let's say 10. And the whole idea of Synergia actually started from quite a lot of work that, together with Wilfred, I see him on the call, and other partners we did on the Health Tech of Africa, which is one of the biggest accelerators in digital health, specifically on the African continent. And at the time, we saw a lot of interesting companies, and we worked a lot on incubation and acceleration. But one thing that we saw that after these companies graduated, most of them faced one and the same challenge, which is scaling. And this is why I've been sitting on this idea, which Keers just told you about for the last 2 years, and that's how do you scale? If you have very limited resources, if you have very little funding and very little connections, how do you actually scale? What should you be doing as a young startup in a pre-seed or seed phase, especially, to get to the next level? If you have extremely limited resources and you're wondering what to do. So we decided to find Synergia, which is the home of health and sustainability startups working to scale. We are a scaling venture platform. Now, I will tell you a little bit more about this as we go along through the presentation, but now I'm going to use this as an opportunity to actually share my screen and start telling you more. So please do tell me if you see what I am presenting to you. I guess.
Yes, we can see what you have.
Great. So if at any point of time you have a question on anything, please do stop me. Meanwhile, I'll just go next. So what are we trying to cover today? First topic is, why do partnerships beat capital? Or why you should be thinking to find the right partners. If you're building your own company, why is that even important? We want to talk about joint ventures. These are specific types of partnerships that are out there, and we want to talk about very specific examples around that. We want to discover some real-world cases, some things which come from outside the industry, but also some things which come from our own industry, which is healthcare and sustainability. We also want to talk about how do you actually go about finding and securing partners. How do you spot them? How do you build the relationship? What are some of the common traps which founders are facing? And then we want to start thinking around how can we actually scale with the help of those partners, because then you're going to have more negotiation power, not just with your partners, but with bigger organizations, with corporates, with funders, investors, anyone else who actually you want to work with. And along the way, Piers is going to give us a real-world exercise. You're going to get 2 real-time exercises to try to help you find good partners together today in the call, just to show you how we do it. Now, normally we do all of this on Synergia on the platform. Today we'll be doing it real-time, but let's demystify a little bit what scaling is truly about. Many people think that the fastest growing companies are those that have the most money. Well, even if you have the most money, if you use it the wrong way, you're definitely not successful. This is the old playbook. Go to raise more funding, hire more people, spend your way into the market. And this is most of the time at a cost, meaning you will give part of your company to someone, or you will be dealing with too many people who expect something back from you, and you will constantly be changing the focus of what you're trying to do as a company. Now we're changing this theory. We think that if you borrow rich, meaning reach more people, but borrowing in a clever way, if you share risk with someone else, if you share resources with someone else, and think of how you can work with someone else who is complementary to you, doing something you're not doing, or being somewhere you're not. If you find that person, you can go faster to a place which you cannot go by yourself. You're going to preserve more ownership of your own company, and you're going to improve your business model to make it more resilient. This is how scale-ups actually compound the value of their businesses. So the question that changes everything for us is, who already has what I am trying to build, buy, or reach? How can I find those people? How can I find the perfect partner to complement me so that I don't spend time in fundraising all along, but trying to actually find a shortcut to grow really, really fast with the help of someone else? Now, there are several issues that are happening in the world right now, and I'm not going to spend too much time on this, but we know that there is not a lot of money to go around. We are in geopolitical circumstances that are quite challenging. especially grant funding is completely disappearing with USAID being gone, especially relevant to the African context. Many markets are getting more and more complicated because of the regulations and policies. There is no distribution when it comes to the health systems. Even if you have a good health product or a medicine or a treatment or a diagnostic, it takes a long time until you get an approval for that thing to actually reach customers in a different market. And every market is completely different. We know health and sustainability are two of the most regulated industries. And if you're a small company, you're often invisible to the funders. You're too small to be relevant, and you're too slow at the same time to be faster than your competition. And time is running out. So if you have 1 year in which you have to do something real quick, show traction, show milestones, this is the year in which you have to make it faster. How can you do that? We exist to do that. And maybe I'm going to use a very famous African proverb, which I absolutely love, that if you want to go fast, you can go alone. But if you want to go really far, and I mean really far, both in terms of your financial company development, making more sustainable revenue, but also impact, you have to go together. Go together with someone who complements you. Why? Because speed is easy. You can do quite a lot of things, but do them wrong. But scaling, not really. Most of those companies, even the well-funded one, and I'm going to give you an example, which I'm sure Wilfred can talk a lot about because he probably knows more than me, is Babylon. And I think the team in Rwanda also can talk about that. So even the companies which receive a lot of funding and attention on their own don't make it. It's time to change the business model. And that's through partnerships. This is the work that Synergia does through our infrastructure to connect startups and scale-ups around the world to help them find the perfect match between each other before you go to those who have the big funding. So this is a real case that we did 2 years ago. Actually, I led this end-to-end. I talked to over 150 companies around the world, and I was trying to find the perfect solution to increase, let's say, the screening and diagnosis of cardiovascular risk. And this was a project I wanted to do in Rwanda. I couldn't find one company that can do this end-to-end project on their own, so I actually did the first match. It was a Canadian startup, or a scale-up rather, with an AI technology that worked together with our startup from Rwanda called Lifespan Health, which is one of the most successful Rwandan startups, and I suppose the team on the call knows them. And because they worked together, they created a joint venture. That's what we call a partnership. And the company from Canada took their AI model and embedded it inside of the digital application, which was a mobile app of Lifespan Health. And because of what they did as a collaboration, they got full government support from the Ministry of Health in Rwanda. They got funding from the Novartis Foundation at the time. The Lifespan app grew 37 times in terms of actual usage of end users, so citizens of Rwanda. And together, these two companies managed to bring medical education on good cardiovascular health to 1.6 million people in Rwanda, with 75,000 screenings done on the population, primarily in Kigali and the region. This was the first use case when we proved that actually working between two startups has more results than if you just try to work with one company on their own. Also, the company that came from Canada worked on the AI model. So then it worked on all kinds of skin because it was basically using the camera of the phone to scan your blood vessels on your face and detect your probability of having hypertension. Now, after they worked with the team of Lifespan Health, it works on any type of skin, which is a true example of health equity, which is extremely important for the work that we do in global health. This is just the first example. And I leave this question maybe for Piers to ask you.
Thanks, Lucy. So if you can see the board that I put in a link to in the chat, please visit that board, and now we're going to do our first exercise. And what I'm hoping you can help us with here, let me just share my screen with you, and you can just kind of see what I would like you to do. This is where it gets interesting because there we go. If you can see my screen, I would like you to go to the first part of the board, which is the first question, which is, in your own words, if you can just write a short definition of what you believe a joint venture is, or what you understand a joint venture to be. I can see people have already started. If you can click on the sticky note, you can choose a color and you can just place it on the screen here and just type in what you believe a joint venture to be. If you tap out when you do that, oh, it's being tricky now. Then I should be able to see all your sticky notes and kind of collate them as we go along. Let me know if that's working for you. If not, just put your notes in the comment section here and I can collate them. And then when we've done with the exercise, I'll just run through them and paste them on the board. That'll be the contingency.
And in case you're driving or on the way, maybe you can speak up and tell us in words, what do you think a joint venture is? And can you give us an example?
I could see a few comments have already gone.
I'm really enjoying this.
I could see a good comment that's coming from somebody. It keeps disappearing behind the pane though. It is the cooperation between equals and built on transparency and mutual benefit can achieve what neither ambition nor competition alone can reach. I really like the sound of that.
Whoever is writing this, we should kind of get you on our marketing team. This is better than what I could have said. Fantastic. Any other definitions? A structured partnership with shared equity, not just a contract.
Okay, that's a good one. Two organizations sharing risk and reward on something neither could do alone. Yeah, I like that as well. My favorite is still the first one in yellow from Francesco. A new entry, jointly owned with its own goals. Okay. Okay. That's part one of the exercise. We will take this further in a few minutes where we kind of go to the next exercise.
Great. Now let's go back to what we think a joint venture is. And this hopefully is kind of painting the picture of where we're going with all of this. Many people, when they hear the word joint venture, they think, oh, this is two companies which merge and they create something new as a new legal entity. Well, actually, the real definition is not just that. It's not just the use case where you need two companies to kind of basically come up with a brand new company. Sometimes it's simple things. It's simple thing as finding a partner who does co-marketing with you. Imagine two very complementary brands doing a marketing campaign together. That's the classic example. Other use cases could be you're sharing revenue, you have distribution deals, you're doing co-licensing. So you find a way to combine your technologies or your channels or both to be generating more value than if you were doing it individually. We're going to give you examples of that as we go along through the presentation, but I just wanted to illustrate to you that a contract can be a joint venture. It's a partnership, it's building a coalition, it's an alliance, it's a collaboration. You can call it whatever it is, we call it a joint venture. It can also be a consortium of partners. Imagine 2 or 3 startups or scale-ups working together with a research organization or an accelerator to put together joint bids to go win public funding. You know, there are many public funding calls in the African continent, internationally, in Europe, and all of these opportunities are sitting there. Most of them require large and very precise consortiums. This is also an opportunity to create a joint venture with someone else. The most complex joint ventures remain the classic idea of it, creating a new legal entity or sharing IP, sharing intellectual property, which is more difficult and more challenging. This is the old model of doing things, but it's not impossible. Depending what you're trying to do, you may choose also to go that path, but you have to know that it requires more complexity and more resources. In the first cases, it doesn't need to be that complex. You just need to know what is the goal of the partnerships before you start deciding what's the format of the partnership. So the first lesson, decide what is the goal. Why are you partnering with these people? What is driving the agenda for both of you? What is the shared interest? What are you bringing on the table? One classic example, completely outside of health or sustainability, maybe some of you know, but Starbucks and PepsiCo from the US, that's a very old example, they work together to bring basically the premium coffee brand of Starbucks to the distribution channels of PepsiCo. That was a 50-50% joint venture, which individually, they didn't have the pieces. One side had the premium product, the coffee, everybody knows Starbucks. The other one had the perfect supply chain, had the perfect distribution channels to bring that coffee to the customers. Well, now it's a 1.5 billion business. So I think that speaks about the volumes, that if your brand or science combined with the partners' distribution channels or infrastructure they already have, that you can jointly create a category, which individually you can never do. So try to start to think, what is this partner that I can find that maybe has a technology or maybe has a product or a service that I don't have? And maybe I have the channels, I have the connections, I have the network, I have the distribution, or the other way around. Start to think, what is that upselling of value? I like to call it upside. What is that upside that we can create together? Another famous example from the health sector, from the pharmaceutical sector, is Verily and Sanofi. Now, Verily used to be, it's an alphabet company, basically in the Google, let's call it umbrella parent company. They were creating different kind of digital software, basically apps and sensors, and basically they were a digital company. And they created a deal with Sanofi, one of the largest pharmaceutical companies, to do a 50-50% joint venture in digital health. And they created Onduo. So Onduo was basically a virtual clinic. So sort of a virtual clinic in the space of, as far as I remember, was, I think it was cardiovascular by my memory. Basically diabetes. So they created a diabetes clinic online. And this was a very successful partnership at the time in the US. However, at some point it died off because Sanofi changed their strategy. So they completely removed that franchise from what they were doing. And Verily had to kind of transition the product out, which is also a learning for you. When you're building a joint venture, think concretely, what is the success? What is the deadline of this project? Because this is not like a marriage that you're intending to having forever. It's a most of the time temporary relationship that benefits both sides. Very rarely it's going to last forever. So you have to be very smart when you're thinking, what are the contingencies to put in place when you're going into that relationship so that you're not ending up having a surprise that you did not expect you're going to get. The third example, hopefully most, how should I put it, unexpected if you want. Who hasn't heard here about the Michael Jordan and the Nike deal? Well, how can one person being a brand? Well, Michael Jordan, everybody here knows on the call Michael Jordan, I'm pretty sure. At the time, Nike was the third most famous sneakers brand. So shoe brands for sports in the US, they were not too successful being number 3. But thanks to putting so much trust into the face of Michael Jordan, he was the brand. They actually turned this into a joint venture, which is $7 billion in annual revenue. So it doesn't mean that you always need to have a hardcore technology that's a medical device or a pharmaceutical or something strong that's like very complex. Sometimes a joint venture could be if you yourself have a strong brand and your brand is what you bring as value to your partners. And you can essentially speaking split by splitting royalties. So this is future returns for yourself without you maybe giving something from your side that doesn't require recurrent work too much. So it's not really equity, it's not sharing IP, it's no board seats, but it's really a value sharing deal through future revenue through royalties. That is a classical thing and a startup and a scale-up can consider to do. And now I would like to invite two of our Synergia founders to give us their example, which is our first joint venture that got born on Synergia. So if the team is online from Dawn AI and Kivutech, can you take 5 minutes to present yourself, both of you, and to tell us how did you end up doing this joint venture and what this joint venture is going to be all about?
Hi everyone, Victor here. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we hear you.
Amazing. Thank you for having me on the call. I think someone from Kivutech is also on the call. We met Kivutech via the Synergia platform. And so in context, Dawn AI is a neurotech company. So we built a neural foundational model to pretty much help families to detect neurodivergent traits such as dyslexia, ADHD in kids and the likes. And we thought of our primary point of joining
How much is
in Nigeria was
what am I allowed to do?
Was to scale into other region and other markets. So and from Kivutech, I would say what they do from their end is they act as a digital incubator and partners, right? And they help international companies to pretty much deploy their solutions into the Eastern DRC region, and which sounds like a goal for us because we're trying to see how we can scale across sub-Saharan Africa. Next slide, please. So we identified the problem and the solution we wanted to solve together. So for Dawn AI, we agreed with Kivutech that we are going to deploy our platform into local tablets and devices used in the DRC Congo, which means in schools, wellness centers, hospitals, they'll be able to conduct local neurodivergent screening for these kids. And you know what this means? These are kids that ordinarily their parents or their family might not have been able to afford Western to sort of Vanderbilt and the likes. So we have break the cost barrier, we've break the stigma barrier just by having a joint partnership with Kivutech. And because we have the Neuro foundational model, we have the data and the likes. So this would also kind of set the DRC Congo on the map that, okay, yeah, this is a country that pretty much care about the inclusive healthcare of their community, of their people over there. And then we've agreed on how we want to pull this off, right? So currently we are working on a closed API to pretty much deploy into Kivutech local endpoints from their end. So by the next 2-3 months we should be deploying on the sand, we should be deploying the sandbox, and also before the year runs out, on the long run, we should scale across the DRC Congo. Now the piloting focus is to target 15 local hubs in DRC. So Kivutech would be the one to undo that aspect, and we are looking into minimum of 2,500 vulnerable kids who are screened and they're very much profiled for learning difference and neurodivergent support from our end. So this would also have a positive ripple effect. We're going to create more jobs opportunity for local educators, for healthcare practitioners over there. We're going to train them on how to use the platform and the likes. Next slide.
I think that's all we have. Okay. Maybe the point of the story is, and thank you so much, Victor, for sharing this example. I don't know if the Kivutech has something to add, but I think the key point is once you validate the pilot, of course, you want to scale it. And for this, you'd be looking for the right kind of funders, the right kind of larger organizations to support the next phase, right? That's the key part.
Definitely. definitely.
Right. So you can see how if they wouldn't have met, and probably that's the key question for you here, would you have ever met if there wasn't Synergia?
No, not really.
Voila. So this is what we are trying to do here. We want more founders to actually find easy project opportunities. You know, if you have a simple project that demonstrates a much larger value of you working together, you can attract any sort of funding very quickly and big partners who are actually going to look at you. Why? Because you prove what you're doing, you're entering new markets much faster, and essentially you're using each other's resources, and it doesn't cost you anything. You already are having these resources. So you're not spending more money, you're using the current money you have. Now, ultimately, what is a joint venture then? A joint venture is something that is larger than the sum of its parts. And this is what the example of Kivutech and Dawn AI is. They are trying to build something that is much larger than them individually doing their thing. If that's successful, it means multiple markets being multiplied. It's going to be more efficient use of capital, of resources that they currently have. The credibility of one partner is going to spread to the credibility to the other one. So this is very important, is building trust. And the last bit, instead of doing things for years, it can take you months. I think nobody wants to be doing this for years. You want to scale fast while the market is moving. And here we go. Piers, over to you. How can we do it real time? You're on mute. We don't hear you.
We're going back to the dashboard. There are some teething problems we encountered earlier. So I'm just going to share my screen again, and I'll tell you exactly what we need to do. Just give me a second. Okay, I'm sharing my screen again. So exercise we want to do now is really, as an organization, if you can think quickly, maybe you've got a problem within the company, or maybe you've got a very strong proposition that you feel you will need a partner to maybe position in another geography, for instance. Or it could be you have got an idea or a product or something that you have built, but you need to scale. And to scale, you think you need a partner for that. It could also be the fact that maybe you just happen to have loads of capacity, financial or resource-wise, and you're looking for a potential partner that, you know, who's got a great idea that you want to hear. And so for you, you have a strong proposition in that regard. If you could go onto the board again and identify where your problem kind of sits, whether it's a strong proposition, something you want to scale, or the problem that you want to overcome through partnership. Once you've decided what that is, just go onto the stack of notepads, click on that. So just make sure click on that and pull it down, and then you can type your proposition into it. Too many words, too many sentences. I hope that doesn't confuse people. But please go ahead and add your ideas to the board, and let's see. At the end of that, I'll try and collate what you have, what we have identified as potential opportunities to work together. If it doesn't make sense, again, just put your idea on the board here.
So just to simplify, what are you doing and what is the thing that's blocking your scale? So what do you need to scale exactly? What is preventing you from doing it? And please don't say money. We learned the lesson so far. It's not the money.
I don't know if you can see the board. Maybe you may want to scroll down a bit. There you go. And if it's a bud, just click on the green stack. The green stack. Can you see it? Yeah. There, just click on that. And then Okay, technology fails us. Just put your comments here and I'll paste them in for you.
Maybe you don't mind, I'll just share my screen to remind everyone what is the question that we're asking people to do. Let me see if it's visible. Whatever is easiest in in Zoom, in the chat, or just in a mirror. I can see something, so maybe Piers, would you like to zoom in on the notes?
I think for some reason people are struggling to find the right location on the board.
Maybe we just read out loud the notes.
Yeah. Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Do we mention or we write at the chat, the gap?
Just write in the chat.
Or you speak, either way. So what do we have up there? So Piers, we have some interesting notes, maybe?
We've got a few interesting notes, mostly around what a joint venture is. Nobody has actually posted yet on what an opportunities they have.
Take over and ask the question here on the big screen. I don't know if you can. Can you see the screen?
You can see the screen, yeah.
Brilliant. So if you see the screen, can you type in the chat simply, we are, what is it that you're doing? And the one thing that's blocking you from scaling. Super simple. And you can see some examples on the bottom. So for example, we are a diabetes hub. Our gap is access to clinics in Kenya. Or we are a solar startup. Our gap is capital to enter a second market. We're a diagnostics firm. Our gap is trust with hospital buyers or with the local community. I see some examples starts appearing in the screen of Piers.
I'm just putting those examples in here, but somebody else has started putting something else under a bud. So looking forward to see what that is.
Any challenges from anyone else that you want to share out loud?
I think we've got a very shy audience today. Nobody wants to share their opportunities.
Okay, we have one example coming into the chat. So Panache is sharing Structleaf is Africa's real-time continental operating system, integrating intelligence, infrastructure, energy, capital resources, and carbon governance into a unified AI-driven economic and climate coordination network. We're an industrial service provider. Our gap is lack of capital to acquire heavy-duty assets to serve our clients better and control costs. So what I'm hearing is the gap is acquiring heavy-duty assets. That's the biggest gap here. Are there any other examples from anyone? That's a great example.
I think we have other people chatting.
Okay, we've got a very strong proposition there from Panache with Stratleaf, and we've got a budding opportunity there with Wanangwa Mnyembe service provider, but they have a gap, lack of capital to acquire heavy duty assets. So so that's a bud. It's a really good idea that needs support taking it to the next stage. Okay. Oh, there's another one. We're providing the regenerative rabbit farming. We're proving that regenerative rabbit farming can create jobs, improve food security, and restore the environment. The only thing blocking our scale is access to the capital and infrastructure needed to meet growing demand and empower more youth and women farmers. Go on.
Stella Maris, can I ask you, what are you going to use the capital for? Exactly. What is the real gap? What is the money needed for? Very specifically. That is your gap. It's not the capital alone. It's what you're going to use it for. Type. Go for it. We're going to give it 2 more minutes just to hear what the gap is. And in the meantime, while we close this section, you can keep on writing what is your startup about and what is your gap. Please, instead of trying to say capital, try to describe what is it that you're going to do with this capital, right? So that's the actual gap. It's not just the capital for the sake of the money. So try to describe what problem are you going to be solving with this funding. And this is your gap. Meanwhile, I'll explain what we're doing. So Piers, why don't you explain to everyone just high level, what is Synergia, how does it work? And then I can pitch into that description.
So first of all, you'll be pleased to know that the people on the platform aren't as shy as the people on the call today when it comes to talking about their opportunities. So the idea is we talk to you, we know who you are, and you share information on the platform about yourselves. You then create an opportunity like the ones that we've seen so far, explaining what it is you do and what gap you have. It could be that you need some help expanding to another geography. It could be that you need help with co-marketing, or it could be, you know, there's a whole legal minefield you want to approach in your own country, for instance. So you put that opportunity, just like people have been posting in the chat here on the platform. And in the background, we run an algorithm that looks at you as an organization, looks at the opportunity that you've presented. Then it looks at all the other organizations that we have in the database, and it identifies which ones and scores them, right, from a score of 100% to 0%. And then any company that hits a high threshold in the matching gets a message on the dashboard to say, hey, you're a match for this opportunity. Would you like to start a conversation? Both parties can now initiate the conversation and take the conversation all the way to when they have a joint venture, all through the platform without having to resort to phone calls or emails or anything. And then once they get to the stage of signing, of agreeing on a joint venture, the platform offers them additional services, which, if you think about it, if you're a company in Nigeria and there's a company you're trying to do business with in Rwanda, you're going to have to get yourselves a lawyer, you're going to have to get yourselves a banker, and so is the other company, just to be able to do business together. And you know how Africa is, we're divided across geographies and across languages and across business models that are inherently not ours. All of this kind of helps. The platform just helps you do all of that in a seamless way. Apologies, I just need to go back to the board. I think somebody has moved my...
So while Pierce is doing that, all you have to do is sign up on the platform, describe your company, describe what you're looking for in terms of partners. Our AI is going to do the magic. And then you're just like in the perfect matchmaking, you can find different partners to do different things with. And you're going to get access also to pro bono advisors, so advisors who will donate some free time to help you on your project once there is a project. Also, we're planning to feature whenever there is a project that maybe needs money, and not every project needs money. I want to make that clear, that not every joint venture needs money, but some of them, once the pilot is proven, we will put them forward in front of funders, corporations, small and medium enterprises, and they can find collaborators, they can find clients, they can find investors and funders. And to make it easier for you, we also have created a marketplace where you can have access to preferentially priced, so better priced service providers at special prices just for the Synergia members, so that they can benefit from all kinds of services, like Pierce said, anything from legal, compliance, taxation, technology services, all kinds of more complex things that normally you don't find in a trusted way and at good prices. So this is only for our members. And this brings us probably around the explanation that not every joint venture is easy. So you have to spend the time to get to know the people when you meet them in our matchmaking platform. And normally it takes a lot of time to meet a match. In our case, because we have a community that's growing really fast, thanks to the partnership with BridgeSeed Global, with Vilgro Health, Vilgro Africa, and other big partners, we are creating the first global, not just African, but truly global community of founders who are building and scaling together. So you will be able in 2-3 clicks to create your opportunity, find the match, talk to the people, get to know them, decide what is the deal that you want to do with them, and then create and structure the deal. Our AI and our people are there to help you. And if you're successful, you're going to be able to co-market, co-distribute in new markets together. You're going to be able to license instead of building things from scratch. You can share jointly the cost of new market entry to a new territory that you were not in before. You can also borrow local credibility. Imagine you have a company in Ghana and you want to go to Rwanda. If you partner with someone in Rwanda, you're borrowing their credibility because they're already there. So that's a little bit the model. And what we're actually offering is a platform that helps you find all kinds of international partners, first between startups and scale-ups, and once there is a project that's concrete, also to other larger organizations. As I said, also, we are going to be able to promote the most successful projects that came out of the platform to funders. And maybe in the future, we're going to have a model where we bring consortiums together when it's about big public funding opportunities, which on your own you cannot apply. You always need partners there. Then you can do it very, very fast to be partner of such a consortium. Now, what are some of the things that founders should avoid? Well, I already mentioned a few of these. No shared definition of success. So start with what are you actually trying to get to? Start doing a small pilot before doing something huge, because obviously starting small is safer. Don't work with vague contributions. From the start, be clear what are you bringing on the table, what the other side is bringing on the table. Don't ignore the legal part, because independent in which country around the world you are, you have intellectual property, you have ownership, you have technology, and you have to plan for the future. Make sure everything is documented with the respective collaboration agreement, partnership agreement, whatever form of an agreement, but something is legally documented. And then you have to have chemistry, you know, the two companies have to kind of get along. Otherwise, it's, you know, it's a people business, so you have to get along. And don't forget, the joint venture has to have an internal sponsor. So it's the founder or someone in the leadership team that has to look and defend the project. Otherwise, that relationship is not going to last. So if the founder or the chief partnership officer or the marketing officer, whoever is doing that, has to be someone in the leadership team, that has to be in the driving seat of the joint venture, because we're talking about a real partnership. So these are some of the common pitfalls. And now the last part of this exercise, now that we have so many examples in the chat, we want to try to figure out if there could be a live match somewhere around some of the things that we saw as companies and as gaps. And this is just a simulation. Once you go on Synergia, you will see that you definitely will find a match on what you're doing. Piers, take it over.
Now, this is where it gets interesting. I don't know if you guys can see my screen or not.
I can stop sharing mine and you can start sharing yours again, maybe.
Okay, so we've got some very, very strong opportunities here. So if I'm working as the algorithm, this is how I would break it down. So let's look at Scout Online, for instance. They enable consumers to discover merchants, order and receive deliveries on demand. Then they empower merchants to sell online, full autonomy over inventory pricing and operations, and handle demand logistics and last mile delivery. The model has been proven, but what they want now is they want to try this in more zones and locations. They tried it in a dense pilot. So what they would be looking at is a company in another country who ideally has products to sell and ideally is hoping to kind of support them in their activities.
So is there here a company that is selling products? And actually, in which country are you guys that is happening? Scout Online, Lazi, in which country are you?
Okay, so that's a really, really interesting case. And obviously, if we have the scale of a full platform, I am quite sure you would definitely be finding matches. Here, we've only got a few other companies who've kind of talked about themselves. But when you look at certain trends, we've got an EdTech company here, industrial service provider here, agricultural company here, and agricultural company there. So we look at the two agricultural companies. One is looking for capital, and they want the capital to expand on their breeding stock, construct additional housing units, and so on. The other one, AI-powered agricultural resilience platform. Smallholders make safer, more profitable decisions. Climate intelligence, conflict warnings. I would say we are starting to see the beginning of an opportunity here. It's not a direct 100% match for both organizations, but you can see their synergies that could lead to these two talking to each other. There's agri-insurance, financial services, and I think these two can now start to actually explore a conversation that could lead. Now, if you think about it, if we had a platform that had a whole lot more people, which Synergia now does at over 150, there would be closer synergies than this. So this would probably be getting a scoring of about, I guess, maybe around 35, 40%. And there is another aspect now to Synergia. So there is the algorithm search, and then there is kind of the curated human search. All of these potential matches that don't reach a particular threshold, I can go in as an administrator and I can say, you know what? These two companies actually do need to have a conversation. So I can nudge both of you and say, look, there are potential synergies here. Now, can you try and talk to each other and see if you can come up with something that works? Not exactly two bulletproof opportunities, but I hope you're kind of beginning to see what can happen in the background.
So that creates a very straightforward call for all of you. Thanks to BridgeSeed Global and all of our partners, basically now you have the ability to be some of the first people on the first global partnership platform for which founders don't pay to be members. So all you have to do is have this code. You have to go on synergia.io/apply. You do not pay membership fees. You don't give up equity. You don't give up board seats. It's completely free to be a member. And you can create your profile with all the possible details in your profile. You can create up to 3 opportunities to find your perfect match. You can match, you can talk to them, you can choose or decline if there is not a match. Once you find your match, you can get a free advisor to help your project. You get a free access to our marketplace with provider services at preferential, better prices just for our members. You get also access to events. There will be different events from different partners at special ticket prices that are going to be coming up. And most importantly, once you have validated pilots and projects, some of those will be eligible to be presented to our funders community that we're building in the next 2 months. And that's going to go live in the next 4 months, Synergia Ventures. Synergia Ventures is going to feature the most successful joint venture projects to funders from around the world, from Switzerland to South Africa to Southeast Asia and the US. So really, we're starting with 3 regions, which are our focus: Africa, Europe, and the Middle East. And you have the chance to benefit from it already from the beginning. So we count on you. Please join. And we hope this was interesting today. So I bring it back to you to give us some feedback. If you have any questions, now is the moment. And thank you so much for being so active. Let us know if anything was not clear. We hope that we gave you some good examples of what are the types of projects that are out there. What is the project you can create with someone else to make the value bigger? And I'm passing to Josh for closing words.
Awesome. Lucy?
Yes, my dear.
That was amazing. That was so amazing. I never knew you were as good as this. I knew you were good, but wow, this is another side. Thanks so much. Thanks so much. That's so exciting. Congratulations to Dawn AI on the collaboration you're able to do. Congratulations. I can see your reaction there. So yeah, I think we should just open the floor to questions. If anyone have any question. Pers, thanks so much. Thanks so much for the presentation. So I think we should leave the floor to